Hello and good morning. We're in week 2-3. Make sure you turn in your homework for week 1. If you have not already done so, it's open on Canvas. Let's take a look here. There are 3 rules for rotation that I want to hear you discuss with your neighbor when we talk about this. Number 1 is rotate 90 degrees, and that would be clockwise. And if you go 90 degrees, you change the x and switch. Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, going this way, you're going to change the y and switch. And number 3, rotate 180 degrees. You're going to change both of them, but don't switch it. So the only thing you do here is change both. Okay? So when you discuss with your neighbor, see if they know these 3 rules. If they do not, make sure you encourage them to learn it to get ready for the EOC. And by the way, good news, our geometry scores for Osceola for the school are number 1 for the midterm. Okay? But I do see room for a lot of improvement, so make sure you continue to work hard because really we need to do better. All right, let's look here. So this one's a dilation of 3, so you're going to multiply by 3. So A prime for number 1 is going to be times 3 is a negative 6 and 12. 4 times 3. This one, 6 times 3 is 18. 7 times 3 is going to give you 21. And then you got to translate it. So you want to add 3 and subtract 2. Add 3 and subtract 2. So the new point, A double prime, would be negative 3 and 10. And B double prime would be 21 and 19. Make sure you understand that. This is called a similarity transformation. This one right here, you're going to do 1/3. So A prime, you're going to divide by 3. So that's a negative 2 over 3 and 4 over 3. And B prime, for number 2, is going to be 6 over 3, which is 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then 7 divided by 3. And then A double prime, you rotate 90 degrees, so you're going to change the x and switch. So this one comes first, and then you got to change the x. This one you're going to change the x, and this one comes first. So 7 over 3, and then negative 2. And there it is. Those are the rules. All right, one more. If it's 2/3, you're going to multiply by 2, and then divide by 3. So A prime on this one, when you multiply by 2, you're going to get negative 4, and then you divide by 3. When you multiply by 2, you get 8, and then you divide by 3. And then A double prime, you change both of them, so that's going to be a positive, and this one's going to be a negative. These are real easy if you memorize those rules. And then B prime, you're going to multiply by 2 right here. So that's going to be 6 times 2. You pull that down. 6 times 2 is 12. Divided by 3 is 4. And then this one is 7 times 2 is 14 divided by 3. So B double prime, you're going to change both of these, so that becomes a negative, and this one becomes a negative as well. And there it is. Make sure you know those 3 rules that I gave you earlier, and make sure you quiz your neighbor. Okay? So right now, take a moment, quiz your neighbor, say, rotate 90 degrees. Do it exactly in this order. Okay? And if you can, close your eyes and say it. All right, let's move on to proving triangles are congruent. There are three ways, put away your bell work, on a new sheet of paper, there's three ways to prove triangles congruent. So write this down. Proving triangles, and actually it's similar. Okay, it's not congruent today. So put 7.3 and put that little symbol. That symbol means two things. Number one, the sides are proportional. They're not equal. And number two, the angles are equal or congruent. Okay? So let's take a look at some of these. Let's take a look at this one right here. So draw this diagram. And put this one as 14 and 8 and 49 and 28. Copy that down. All right, so there's three ways to prove similar triangles. One of them is side, side, side similarity, angle, angle similarity, and side, angle, side similarity. Write that down. All right, so right away we know that this angle is equal to this angle because they're vertical. I don't know if that's going to help us. Now look here. You see how this side is the biggest side and this one's smaller? And over here, 49 is the bigger side. So we're going to match the bigger side with the bigger side. We're going to go this way. So we're going to say 14 over 49. Is that equal to 8 over 28? Let's see if they're equal. Okay, we're lining up the sides. So 14 divided by 49 gives me 0.28. And then 8 divided by 28 gives me 0.28. So these are exactly the same. That means the sides are proportional and you have an angle. So it's going to be side, angle, side. So write that down. Triangles are similar by side, angle, side. Okay? So now we know they're similar, but they also want you to label it. Like on this one, this was the M, L, and that was the V, and this was the TU. And so on your worksheet, they're going to say triangle VUT. Well, if you look at it, V is here, U is there, and T is there. So they're going across the smaller side. See, 49 is bigger. The smaller side to no side. So you want to go the smaller side to no side. So the pattern would be VLM. And there it is. The triangles are similar. Now, if it failed, like if this was not 0.28, maybe it was 0.3, then it wouldn't match up, and you would say not similar. Okay? Let's try another one. Let's try number 2, or example 2. Copy this down right here. Draw these two triangles. All right, so if you look here, that one mark is equal to that one. So we have one pair of angles. We have another pair of angles. So this is angle, angle, similarity. The triangles are similar. And then you got to name it in the same pattern, okay? So you got to follow that pattern, and that's really important. Okay, let's try one more. Number 3, draw this one. And again, this is proving triangles are similar. So if you look here, right away, you should know vertical angles. We talked about that. This one is equal to this one. Okay, so look at what we have. We have one pair of angles, okay? But this one only has one stripe and it doesn't match 2 stripes or 3 stripes. So unfortunately, there's not enough information here. We're going to say not similar, okay? We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to get you started on your worksheet. Okay, so draw this diagram right here. And I think this is example 4. Draw that triangle and put 88 for this whole thing. Put 16, 25, and 107. All right, so let's take a look. Let's label it K, L, M, and BC. Okay, so now that we have it labeled, they want to know, are they similar? KLM. Is it similar? And if it is, to what triangle is it similar? All right, so the first thing you need to do is separate the triangles. Let me make this a little bit smaller so I have more work area. Okay? So if you look, you have a triangle that looks like this, a little one, and then you have a great big triangle that looks like this. So you want to separate the two triangles. This whole thing right here, the big one is 88. Here you got to add these two up. So that's going to be 120, whatever that is, 132 I think it is. When you add up this plus this gives you the whole thing. And that's this one. Okay, so that's 132. This one right here is 16. And this little one here is 25. And it's actually the bigger one of the two. So let's set it up. We're going to take the bigger one, which is 25, and we're going to set it over the bigger one, which is 132. Then we're going to take the smaller one, 16, and we're going to set it over 88, and we're going to get our calculator, and we're going to see if this works. Okay? So we're going to take 25, divide it by 132, and we get 0.189 and some change. This one we're going to take 16, and we're going to divide by 88. And when we do that, we get 0.1818. So these are not similar. The sides are not proportional, so we're going to say not similar. Okay, the sides are not proportional. Now you might say, well, even if the sides were proportional, you still need an angle. You would need this angle right here, which is in common to both of these. So it would be side angle side similarity if these were the same. So side angle side similarity, but they're not the same. It doesn't work. The sides are not proportional. And let me just double check my work. The whole thing is 88, 132 is correct, 1625, and then I put 16, which is, let me just try it another way. 16 is the smaller one. I'd put it over the smaller one. 25 is the bigger one, and I would put it over the bigger one, and I'm going in the same direction. And I did everything right, but it doesn't work out. Here's your worksheet today, and if you get stuck, I want you to ask, okay? So it will be on Canvas. I do want to see some work. I want you to separate the triangles. If you get stuck, you can ask your neighbor, or you can ask me. Now, if you ask your neighbor, get back to work. All right, let's take a look now. Let's turn our attention to MCR class. So if you're in geometry, this is for a different class. So here we go. Let's see if you understand these problems here. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive, so that would be a positive 6. This is the absolute value. So the absolute value of 6 is 6. But the negative is on the outside, so it would stay a negative. This is not double signs. This is kind of tricky here. You have to first do the absolute value and get 6, but then this negative is outside the absolute value. The absolute value of 0 is 0. And remember, the absolute value is the distance to 0. Look up here. Copy this one down on a new sheet of paper. All right, if it's the absolute value equal to a number, you have two possibilities. The first one will be a positive 5, and the second one would be a negative 5. It's always going to be a plus and a minus. Okay? So this is going to be 3x minus 2 and 3x minus 2, and then you got to work both of these out. So you're going to add 2, and that gives you 7 divided by 3. That's one answer. This one you're going to add 2, and you're going to get negative 3 divided by 3, and that gives you a negative 1. So those are the two answers there. Remember, if it's the absolute value and it's equal to, it's going to be a plus and a minus. This one right here, you have to first get the absolute value alone. So copy this down. Notice that that plus 4, you can subtract 4. Once you subtract 4, then you get this is equal to 6, and now you can set it equal to a plus and a minus. So a plus 6 and a minus 6, just like we did before. and then you got to work it out. There it is. You're going to subtract, this should be a 3. You're going to subtract 3, and that gives you 3, and you subtract. Then you're going to multiply by 3, and then divide by 2. So you get 9 over 2. This one you're going to subtract 3, but that gives you a negative 9. You're going to multiply by 3 and get negative 27, and then divide by 2. All right, there it is. Okay, and then finally, this one works the same way. It's absolute value equal to absolute value, so it's going to be a plus and a minus right here. So you're going to say plus all of this, and then minus all of this. You're going to have to distribute that negative sign. All right, I'll help you out if you get stuck. Here's the work for today. Have a good morning.